Okay, good morning. I'm a Ratzim. For those of you who've watched Eli Stefanski's shiur on Yomi, partially copying from him and partially my own thing. We're going to start a new thing. I was trying for a long time to give a Yomi, give 8-minute chiddush, my own chiddushim on the daf. Something you've never heard before, you never will hear again. Not too many people seem interested in it, probably because people learn daf yomi aren't learning on a very deep level. They barely have time to learn even the daf. They don't have time to go back to the daf, open their gemaras, and look inside and read all the lines and make the diukim, make the inferences that I make to understand what I'm saying. So I think no one really had interest in that. So I'm going to the full daf, the full shiur, and I'll include my chiddushim in the daf. And when I say good morning, I'm a ratzim, it's really a compliment because the truth is that ein derech eretz, ein Torah. If you don't know about the world, you can't learn Torah. People learn in kollel. It's a start. It's a nice thing. They learn Torah the whole day, their whole lives. But you don't know about the world. You don't know the different types of cars there are out there, the different brands of clothes there are out there. Anything, the different countries, the flags of countries, capitals of countries. What's the distance between here and the moon? You have to know these things. You don't know these things, you're not going to understand the Gemara, as I'll demonstrate in coming shiurim. So my shiur is about amaratzos, which is derech eretz, which is very important because we'll see in my shiurim that I combine the two. That in order to be a real Talmid Chacham, you have to be an Amaretz first. So you start by learning the Torah, you learn how to read a Gemara, and then you incorporate your knowledge of the world, and ultimately you join Amaratzos to Talmid Chacham, and you end up with the Sodos HaTorah, the secrets of the Torah, the real Kabbalah. You don't have to go to the Zohar. The Zohar is nice, but Torah Shabbal Peh is the real Sod, the real secrets. So we'll start here on Daf Nun Vav, 56, Yoma 56. The Gemara on Nun Hey Amud Beis says, V'nivro, towards the bottom, V'nivro arba v'zuzi v'nishte b'maya v'hanach nishtaru. The Gemara is trying to figure out someone who wants to send a korban chatas, wants to be border a korban chatas from the money that was made for the birds that were brought as a chatas. There's a problem. If you take money out from that thing, from that box, we're concerned that one of the birds was a chatas shemesu ba'aleh, and therefore it's puzzle. And this is puzzle for a korban, so therefore it got mixed in with all the other money. So therefore, we're worried that it got mixed up. So the Gemara says, maybe you don't have to be worried that it got mixed up. V'nivro arba zuzim nishte b'maya. Take the value of one of the birds. 4 zuzim was the value, the standard market value of one of the birds. Throw it in the water. That's what you have to do to chata shemetus ba'aleh. And the rest will be good. So the Gemara says, this is according to Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara says, Rabbi Yehuda leis le breira. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold of breira. He doesn't hold this concept called breira. Breira is a very famous sugya in Shas. Go to all the yeshivas, they learn breira. You go to Gittin, other masechtas, breira. All you hear is breira. You have Rav Chaim, you have Rav Shimon Shkop. They all explain breira. Today I'm going to give you the clear version of what breira is. So the Gemara says, Minolan, where does Rabbi Yehuda know that he doesn't have? Where do we know that Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold of breira? Someone, he's buying wine from kusim. Kusim are people that are not following the Torah. Maybe a type of gerim, whether they're real gerim or not real gerim. That's a different sugya. Erev Shabbos Simcha Sheikha. He buys it to them bein hashmashos, very close to Shabbos. So one of the halachas is you can't take off Chumas and Maestros on Shabbos. That's considered to be an Issur D'Rabbanan. So he wants to take it off very quickly before Shabbos so he can drink from the wine. Because if you take from a kusi, we're not sure he took off Trumas and Maisos, he's not really Jewish. So the Gemara says, Omid v'omer shnei lugin shani asid lahafresh harein truma. When I'm going to take off, when I finish the barrel of wine, I'm going to finish it over Shabbos or afterwards, 2 lugin of the remainder, because 2 lugin out of 100 is 150. That's the standard for Truma Gedola. Asara Ma'aser Rishon, or Nun Vav Min Aleph now. Asara Ma'aser Rishon. 10 is considered to be Ma'aser Rishon. 1/10 is Ma'aser Rishon. Go to the Levi. Tisha Ma'aser Sheni. 1/9 of what's remaining goes Ma'aser Sheni. Umeichel v'shosa miyad, divrei meir. And he sets aside money to be machalel, to redeem the money, to redeem the Ma'aser Sheni on that money. Ma'aser Sheni you have to redeem onto money. And he's able to drink it on Shabbos, according to Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon Osrin. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi and Shimon say you can't do this. Alma in Breira. So you see what? You see Rabbi Yehuda says you can't do this. Why can't you do this? Technically, Rabbi Meir says you could do this because of Breira. Breira is that Hovrar Davar Lemafreya, that it becomes clear Lemafreya, it becomes clarified Lemafreya, that what was left, the amount that you left off, you left two portions for Truma Gedola, 10 for Ma'aser Rishon, 9 for Ma'aser Sheni. You left those portions off, and that's exactly how much you had left at the end. So that's Trumas and Maestros. So the mayor says you can do Breira, because we assume what's left is those things. And Rehuda says you can't do that. So when he says, Dilma Shiny Hassam, the Ketani Taima, Amrlo the mayor, Iatamo, the Shema Yivaka, no, if Mr. Shosa, Tvalim Lafreya. Amrlam, the Kishiyavaka. The Gemara says maybe Rabbi Yehuda does hold of Breira. The reason he says that you can't do this trick on Erev Shabbos is for a totally different reason. It's Gzeira D'Rabbanan, because what happens if the barrel of wine breaks? It all falls on the floor, and you're not left with any wine at the end. So then you can't affect Breira anymore to say whatever's left was Trumos and Maestros, because there's nothing left anymore. So it's all on the ground. It's all spilled. So it comes out that you ate tevel, you ate things that didn't take off Trumas and Maestros. That's a big problem. It's a lot to eat tevel. And what's Rabbi Meir's response to that? Rabbi Meir's response to that is that we're not worried. Wait till it happens, meaning we're not really worried that that's going to happen. So a question over here is that we'll leave the question for a second. We'll say the daf in its order, in proper order, and then we'll say the chiddush afterwards, so you can understand the chiddush after you understand it in the simple explanation of the Gemara, based on majority of what Art Scroll says. I don't like Art Scroll so much, but you'll see. All right, I'm nothing against Art Scroll. They take the explanation of the Gemara based on standard sources, and when you say chiddushim that are not based on standard sources, any chiddush is something new, something novel. Art Scroll, most of the stuff is not novel stuff. It's just a compendium of previous generations, the accepted explanation according to most previous generations. So the Gemara says, Elam Tani Ayo. Really, we know that Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold the Breira from Ayo. The Tani Ayo, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ein Adam Masne Al Shnei Dvarim Ke'echad. A person can't make a Tnai L'mafreya on two things at once. Elim Bachach Al Mizrach Eruv Al Mizrach L'marav Eruv Al Marav Aval Lakan Lakan Lo. What's the case? The case is that a certain rabbi, Chacham, is coming to make a drasha either to the east of your city or the west of your city. You don't know where he's coming from, and you want to have your Erev Tchumen extend at least to 4,000 amos outside the city. The maximum you can do is 4,000 amos. 2,000 amos, you put your Erev Tchumen 2,000 amos outside of the city limits, and it extends your tchum for another 2,000 amos, so you get 4,000 amos. So the Rebbe, who's obviously giving a drasha in the middle of nowhere, because tchumen apply in the middle between cities where there's nothing going on. It's a different question. What's going on over here? That the Rebbe is giving a drasha in the forest. So the Gemara says that you can't do L'kan is usher, but L'mizrach U'marav works. So there's Maishna L'kan Delo, the Ein Breira. L'mizrach U'marav Nami Ein Breira. If you say I'm making an Erev, you put an Erev in the east and 2,000 amos in the east and 2,000 amos and another 2,000 amos in the west, and you say L'kan, it doesn't work. But if you say L'mizrach U'marav, then it does work. Amar Rabbi Yochanan k'shekvar. So the Gemara says the Avina b'Maishna L'kan Delo, the Ein Breira. L'mizrach U'marav Nami Ein Breira. Amar Rabbi Yochanan k'shekvar b'Chacham. What's the difference in Mizrach U'marav and L'kan? Now, it seemingly there's it seems to be the same case. L'kan and the Mizrach U'marav are really the same thing. You put two Erev, one L'mizrach and the Marav. Rashi explains the Gemara that's talking about the Mizrach U'marav. L'kan is there's two Chacham. There's one Chacham coming from the Mizrach and one Chacham coming from the Marav. And I want to choose on Shabbos which one I want to go to. The Mizrach U'marav is only one Chacham coming. We're not sure where he's coming from. It's not clarified where he's coming from. Is he coming from the Mizrach? Is he coming from the Marav? Rabbi Yochanan says that Mizrach U'marav works, but only K'shekvar ba'Chacham. That the Chacham already came into this Tchum area before Shabbos started, because we know Erev Tchumen is only Kona on Ben Hashmashos and Erev Shabbos. So therefore, for order for it to work, the Gemara says you can't rely on Breira. You can't rely on the fact to say that when he comes on Shabbos, it's a Huvrar that the Erev goes to one side, either the Mizrach or the Marav. Rather, we have to say he came already before Ben Hashmashos, so therefore it's not Breira anymore. So you see, this Bryce was taught in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yochanan explained it. So you see, don't rely on Breira. The Gemara says, "V'hashid amrin on Rabbi Yehuda ein Breira haksiva islay." Now the Gemara goes back to the previous discussion. There was a previous discussion whether you're supposed to write things on the utensils of the Beis Hamikdash, whether you write things or not. The Gemara originally assumed that according to Rabbi Yehuda you don't write things, but now we're saying according Yehuda doesn't hold of Breira, but he would hold of Ksiva. Yoma Kippurim Nami Navid Trev Nechtav Alayu. On Yom Kippur also, back to the original question on Nun Hey, he should write on the two different things. One is the Dam HaPar and one is the Dam HaSoyer. And he should be able to figure out which one is which. Why does he have Rabbi Yehuda say that you don't have two? So the Gemara says, Mishum Chulsha the Kohen Gadol Lava Daite. The Gemara says even if he were to write it, he's very weak and he doesn't know what's going on so much. He's very occupied in what he's doing, so he won't be able to see the words. So it's not going to help to write it on. He's not Ilote Mahachi Baluk Siva Nami Hai Nafish Vaizutar. Even if you hold, he doesn't have to. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold of Ksiva. You don't write it in the Beis Hamikdash. You should be able to figure out, because the Dam HaPar is a bull and it has a lot more blood than the Sawyer, which is a goat, which is a lot smaller. So you'll have to figure out. Maybe you'll tell me really they're the exact same amount of blood, because it's not going to makabel all the blood of the par. Amar Rav Yehuda is called Dam Shel Par. Someone who shechs an animal in the Beis Hamikdash, in order to be makar the korban, he has to accept all the blood into the utensil. It's called Dam HaPar Yishboch Al Yisod Mizbeach. All the blood he has to pour into the base of the Mizbeach. So therefore he has to collect all the dam that squirts out from the animal when you shecht it. You have to be makabel that. Maybe you'll tell me that he really was makabel all the blood, but he just spilled some of the dam apart, and that's why they're equal. So the blood of the goat is not as dark a red as the blood of the par of the bull. So you should be able to differentiate. Because Kohen Gadol is very weak, he's occupied in doing a lot of things today on Yom Kippur, so therefore he's not going to realize the difference in color. Amar Yatzav al kan sheni shebehecha natal dam hapar v'hiniach dam hasoyer. Amar lei chad karabanan v'chad k'Rabbi Yehuda. So he asked him. He said, this person quoted the brisa. He had a brisa. The version was that after he came out of sprinkling the blood inside, he put it on this base, this platform to put it on. Then he took the dam hapar and he put down the dam hasayir. So part of this brisa is like the Rabbanan, a part is like Rabbi Yehuda. The part is like the Rabbanan. Kan shebehechal sounds like Rabbi Yehuda. There was only one kan, or the Rabbanan there were two kans. But natal dam hapar v'hiniach dam hasayir sounds like Rashi says. I'm sorry. Chadak Rabbanan, Chadak Rabbi Yehuda. The one that's like Rabbanan, the Amar Kan Sheni. Right, it says over here, Nachan al Kan Sheni. There were two kan, and there were two platforms, there were two bases. And Natal Dam Apar V'niach Dam HaSayir sounds like there's only one. That he first took off the blood of the par, and then he put the Dam HaSayir, so you only needed one. Amar le Chadak Rabbanan, Chadak Rabbi Yehuda. It doesn't make sense. And where's the Ema V'niach Dam HaSayir V'natal Dam Hapar? So the Gemara says really it's like the Rabbanan. That really we're talking about there's two bases over here to put things down. And just change the words that he put down the Damasar and he took the Damapar, so therefore there were two bases and it's all like the Rabbanan. That's a simple explanation of this Gemara. Now, to say the chiddush, to add on a little juice to the daf, to make you into not just an Amma Aretz, but also a Talmud Chacham that knows how to learn. We'll say try for our 8-minute, maybe even shorter chiddush. There's a couple of questions on this Gemara over here because the Gemara brings a proof that Rabbi doesn't hold a breira from this case of Erevei Tchumen. So the Gemara says lakan is not considered to be good. Is not considered to be good. You can't do two eruvim like that. The mizrach u'ma'arav you can do. So Rashi explains the difference is lakan is two people coming, and the mizrach u'ma'arav is only one Rebbe coming. Now that's Rashi's explanation. It doesn't sound like that. It sounds like the Gemara is really like the same case almost. And even if it is like Rashi's explanation, what should be the difference? They're both forms of clarification. Whether you rely on the Erev Tchumen to choose which one you want to listen to, or there's only one rabbi coming, you're not sure where to go to Mizrach or to the Marav. It's also you're clarifying later on which one you want to go. So both cases are breira. So what's the difference? And the second case, Shekvar Ba'Chacham, sounds like too easy of an answer. Shekvar Ba'Chacham, the Chacham already came. Of course, what's the chiddush? If the Chacham already came, and that's telling you the Mizrach Ma'arav is good, the Chacham already came, so it's not such a chiddush that the Chacham already came before Ben Hashmashah. We know you can do that. It's not relying on breira at all. So what's the chiddush over there? What is Rabbi Yehuda teaching you over there? Rabbi Yochanan teaching you? The third question you want to ask is that the Gemara says that Rabbi Yehuda is trying to figure out holds a breira or doesn't hold a breira. And the Gemara brings a proof from this case of Halokei Chayim Ben Akusim. And the Gemara says, really, maybe Rabbi Yehuda does hold of breira. And he says, what's the reason? The reason he's concerned that he asks you to do this is because he might the Gzeira the Rabbanan, the node might break, the barrel might break. The barrel's going to break, so then you end up drinking tevel. It seems like that really is the reason of Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara in Sukkah goes back and forth whether that's really the reason or not, but at least from our Gemara it seems that the reason is that really Midarais he would hold of Ber. Midarabbanan, he's worried about Exer the Rabbanan. Midarais or Yehuda holds of Ber. What are we going to do with this first proof? Fine, you bring a riot from the case of Erev Tchumen that he doesn't hold of Brera, but here he sees Midarais he does hold of Brera. So I want to say that in order to answer all these questions, that the chiddush is that Brera really encapsulates two different meanings. It comes like the word of birur, of clarification, birur, and also breira, borer is to choose, breira is to choose, bror uh, is to choose. Breira, Brolo, you talk about in Dayanim, you choose, one person chooses a Dayan, another person chooses a Dayan, and then the two Dayanim choose a third Dayan. It's choosing, a lesson of choosing. I want to say there's two types of Breira. There's clarification Breira, and then there's Breira of choosing. So really, when the Gemara says that Rabbi Yehuda, the real reason Rabbi Yehuda answers is by Lokeach Yain Ben Akusim, he really holds of Breira. That's a case of clarification. Why is that a case of clarification? That's a Breira that Rabbi Yehuda holds of. Clarification is where you drank the whole barrel, so it's clarified. We know we have to say at the end of the barrel, what is it? There's only 2 plus 9 plus 10. It's 11, 21 parts that are left. 21 parts that are left, so we assume it's clarified. We only have one thing to judge on. We'll assume that it's clarified that this is the Trumas and Maestros. But the case of the Ervei Tchumen, there's two cases, like Rashi says, one Lakan and one Lemizrach Lamarav. When there's two Chachamim coming, and then you want to choose on Shabbos, they both come, and you want to choose which Erev Tchumen works. That's a case of choosing. Rabbi Yehuda holds of the Breira of clarification, but choosing, now I'm choosing on Shabbos, but Breira he doesn't hold of. Maybe other Tanaim hold of Breira. There's a big machlokes in Shas. Yesh Breira, Ein Breira. But Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold of that Breira. But Lemizrach Umarav, the Gemara says, Kfar Ba'Chacham doesn't mean that he came already this Shabbos. Kfar Ba'Chacham means previous Shabbosim he had already come. He had already come from a different direction in previous Shabbosim. You're not sure this Shabbos, which direction is he coming from. Since you're not sure which direction he's coming from, so therefore we can clarify, we can assume when you make assumptions, that's just a clarification. That's not a new choice. It's a clarification that we assume he came to the direction that he normally came to. So if he came to the direction he normally came to, then it would work, it would be clarified, and Rabbi Yehuda would admit that's a breira that he admits of. But choosing the breira doesn't admit of. And that's why the Gemara says the case where we're talking about where the whole nidon started, or Rabbi Yehuda, the whole of breira or not, is talking about a case of a box full of money that you use for, they give money for the birds, for korban chatas. The Gemara suggests, why don't you take out 4 zuzim and throw it to the Yom HaMelech, throw it into the water. There you have a whole box of coins, and it's not a case of where the whole barrel is already drunk, and therefore we can clarify the rest is a trumas and maisos. Here you have the box is still full of money. Since it's still full of money, so therefore it's a case of choosing. I'm taking 4 zuz and I'm choosing now to say this is the chata shemesu ba'aleh. That case of choosing, Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold of. So really, everybody holds when we say ein breira yesh breira. The shaila yesh breira ein breira is a shaila of choosing, of breira, of choosing. But everyone holds of clarification when I have a reason to assume one way or the other. Then everyone would hold of breira. So you see now, I've given you the daf, I've given you the art scroll version of the daf, I've given you my chiddushim on the daf. Keep on listening. It only gets better.